Hi everyone, my name is Tyler Brand and I'm a PhD student. I wanted to give you another quick summer update on kind of where things are at and how things have been going. Mainly how I've been spending my time so far is really doing a lot of writing for my dissertation, coding for the experiments and programming, and then also spending a lot of time outdoors in nature while doing a lot of hiking. So I actually did a hike in Flagstaff, Arizona. I posted a video on that, was able to hike Mount Humphreys, and I've done several hikes kind of local to Salt Lake City as well. One of them being the Lake Blanche hike where you hike up to a lake, and I ended up swimming there. So it's been a really good summer so far. It's been really productive. As far as my dissertation, I've gotten through the first model so far for chapter 1. And basically that consists of comparing different meta heuristics within the vehicle routing problem and using some APIs externally to bring in real-time traffic and weather data to incorporate into these analyses. So I've had a lot of success there. I'm now focusing on my second chapter's model, which is the knapsack and vehicle routing problem chapter, which incorporates routing as well as packing of items when it comes to cold chain. So perishability, there's a big constraint as far as keeping items cool and or frozen, and factoring that into the routing as well, and prioritization of delivery stops. One thing that I've found during this research is that there's a tremendous amount of leverage you have when it comes to using AI, whether it's ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, any of these types of services. I mainly only use ChatGPT, but they really allow you to run a number of different experiments and really enhance your coding knowledge and abilities, at least in my case. I have a pretty solid baseline level of knowledge when it comes to coding and programming, but these AI tools really help me take it to another level. When I explained my first model to one of my advisors, he actually talked to me a little bit about looking into something called agentic AI, and that means using AI agents. And that has kind of led me down a path where I'm diving into that a little more. And the way I explain that to people is that, you have ChatGPT where it's kind of a generative or general AI where you prompt it and then it will return an answer. But AI agents you can actually program to then perform specific tasks on their own. And then ultimately you can have them communicate to one another as well to eventually get smarter with the tasks that they're working on. So it's very powerful, and it has to do, I'll talk a little bit more about this in the video, but it has to do with the company that I'd like to start down the road, essentially building AI agents for logistics and supply chain problems that are currently out there. As I mentioned, the professor talked about agentic AI. There happened to be a logistics and supply chain AI course at MIT that I applied to. I mentioned that in the last video. I am going to end up taking that class, so I go out to MIT July 6th, and then I stay for 3 weeks. It's a 2-week class, and then the researcher there wants me to stay a week after and meet some people, so I'm really excited about that opportunity. She actually mentioned potentially going out there and studying for a semester or even a year, but I'm going to need to run that by my advisors to see if that's something that makes sense or not at this stage in the game. I'm not really sure how that would shake out and what the semantics would be, but still exciting that they're interested in my research, and I'm looking forward to potentially seeing what comes of this class, what I'll learn, and also what their thoughts are with regards to the company that I want to build after. And essentially what that looks like, I have a tentative name, Supply Route AI. It would focus on problems within cold chain logistics. So think about inventory management, routing, demand forecasting. Those would be the 3 pillars of AI agents that we build products and services around that can ultimately solve problems for more of your small to medium sized food distribution and logistics companies within the cold chain. One thing I did do recently is I set up a board to hold me accountable. So for Supply Route AI, I now have a board of 3, and I report to them on a quarterly basis. I recently sent them a business plan to kind of go over my dissertation research as well as company goals for down the road. And I'm breaking it down into specific milestones to hit each quarter, and the objective of the board is just to keep me on track and give any input that they may have for me along this process. But ultimately, I'm trying to stay, really diligent. I'm on a journey of sobriety. I take that very serious. I want to try to have my life be as simple as possible, to dedicate as much of my energy as I can towards research and eventual product development for Supply Route AI. So I try to manage my relationships and all facets of my life as efficiently as possible to better allow me to be in a position of success down the road with my endeavors. And obviously God is a big component of my life. I believe in Him, believe in Jesus, and I try to follow their will for my life. And I believe they've put me in the position that I am today to go after some of these things, and I want to just continue this journey with God at the forefront of what I'm doing, simply because that's the most important thing at the end of the day. We're only here for a short amount of time. So in closing, I want to just touch on kind of this AI agent concept that I think could eventually be a focus of what I do down the road. I think building programs and solutions around agents that can ultimately accomplish tasks could be big potential down the road. I think a lot of these cold chain distribution companies that are more small to medium-sized businesses, they don't incorporate AI, and they're often relegated simply to spreadsheets and kind of old style software. So they're really not up to date when it comes to their routing efficiency, their inventory management, or any of their demand forecasting. A lot of times they're kind of just putting their thumb up in the air, so to speak, and hoping that they're ultimately profitable. But I'm looking forward to the challenge of diving into this. I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I try to break things down using a first principles type framework that Elon has touched on. It's a physics framework, but basically it means breaking complicated problems down to their smallest parts, then building it back up from there. So if you think about a rocket, breaking it down into all the materials that go into building the rocket and kind of building it back up. So that's kind of what we're doing, albeit on a much smaller scale here. So wanted to just give you this update on where I'm at. I'm really looking forward to going home the week prior to the MIT class back to Indiana to see friends and family. And then I'm also excited to spend time in Cambridge just soaking up this logistics and supply chain AI class, and then also meeting as many folks as I can that are hopefully equally as passionate about the space. And I'm really just blessed. I'm grateful to be in this position. I'm grateful to be learning this. There's still a long road ahead of me with the dissertation and finishing the PhD, but things seem like they're on a good track right now. So I'm just going to continue to plug along and try to minimize the anxiety by doing one thing each day to move me closer to that goal. So I still have to finish comps, which are oral and written exams. And then obviously I have to run the experiments, the coding experiments, and then write about it for the 3 chapters. And then hopefully I can finish that up and then defend at some point and then eventually graduate. So I'm looking forward to the journey ahead. I'll try to document as much as possible, but I appreciate you following along on this journey. And hopefully this just gives you an update in the life of a PhD student / eventual startup founder. And yeah, that's that. So appreciate you watching. Thanks and have a great day.